Greetings in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Welcome to Voicewatch, prophetic news for the week ending May 29, 2016, bringing you the world's news as it pertains to end times Bible prophecy and the end of the age. In today's report, we are going to continue to look at this peace push, only we're going to look at it through the efforts of Pope Francis, as he is actively seeking for peace in the Middle East. We are also going to talk about technology, the increase of technology, gene editing, and I want us to remember some scriptures as we go through this report today. Daniel 12, verse 4 and verse 10. Verse 4 tells us that in the end of the age, people would be traveling or going to and fro, and knowledge would increase. And I think we can all see that we are witnessing that on a daily basis. Also, verse 10 tells us that the wise will understand. And I believe the wise are the ones who are following Bible prophecy. And also I want to remind us of Luke chapter 21, verse 34, that tells us that Jesus is going to come at a time that we think not, which means we need to be ready for him at any time. Let's get into our earthquake report. Last week, there were 82 earthquakes having a magnitude of 4.0 and above on the Richter scale. 15 of these earthquakes were 4.8 or 4.9, and 20 of these earthquakes were 5.0 or above, which I will list for you. Also, in the last week, there were 80 earthquakes in the United States and Puerto Rico, mostly low magnitude. I get this information from the USGS website. May 22nd, 5.1, 5.1 China, 5.0 Chile, 5.5 Argentina, 5.0 Guatemala. May 23rd, 5.2 Mexico. May 25th, 5.4 Greece. May 26th, 5.2 Nicaragua, 5.0 Timor Sea, 5.1 New Zealand. May 27th, 5.8 Japan, 6.4 Fiji, 5.0 Vanuatu, 5.2 Peru, 5.2 Papua New Guinea. May 28th, 5.2 Central Mid-Atlantic Ridge, 6.6 Fiji, 7.2 South Georgia Island, 5.0 East Timor, and 5.2 Algeria. The first three articles that I have today are volcano articles, as there was 3 volcanoes that were erupting last week. And I want to bring to your attention some scriptures that tell us that the whole earth is groaning and travailing. Romans 8, 21 through 23. Because the creation itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, who are born again, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our bodies. And I can say I am eagerly awaiting the redemption of my body. Okay, CNN, Mount Sinabung volcano erupts in Indonesia, killing 7. So we have this volcanoes erupting, which I think is the earth groaning and travailing. Quote, Mount Sinabung is still on the highest alert level and potential for more eruptions remain high. Russia Today, hell opens, Costa Rica volcano erupts, spewing ash, column of smoke. So this one now is in Costa Rica. This one caused many people to have to flee their homes. Quote, the 3,340-meter Turrialba volcano is located in Cartago province of central Costa Rica, only 30 kilometers from the country's capital, San Jose. The volcanic activity started Wednesday, and the first eruptions were recorded Friday, according to local media, end quote. UPI.com, new lava flows from Hawaii's most active volcano, Kilauea. I think that's how you pronounce it. This one so far has not caused anyone to have to vacate their homes, but still. Okay, geologists captured still and video images of the lava creeping down the same side of the volcano that caused evacuations in 2014. This time, however, scientists said there is currently no danger from the molten rock that flows less than a mile long, mostly flowing toward the northwest, end quote. Okay, we're now going to focus on this peace push that Pope Francis is making, and I'm going to bring you a few scriptures first. Psalm 83 verses 2 and 5, and Psalm 83 is believed to be an upcoming war of the nations that surround Israel against Israel. Okay, verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head, which means the leader or the chief. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee, which means they have made a covenant or a league against thee, against Israel. Now, could Pope Francis be the one instigating this covenant? I don't know, but he could be. Okay, Jeremiah 8:11. For they have healed the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. Jeremiah 8:15. We looked for peace, but no good came, and for a time of health, and behold, trouble, which could also be translated as terror. Okay, Vatican Radio. Pope Francis receives Grand Imam of Al-Azhar in audience. He is the Grand Imam of the Al-Azhar Mosque in Cairo, and he's very, very important for the Sunni Muslims. Quote, Pope Francis received an audience in the Vatican on Monday. The Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ahmed Mohammed El-Tayyib. Father Lombardi stated that the Pope and the Grand Imam noted the great significance of this new meeting in the framework of dialogue between the Catholic Church and Islam. The two then mainly discussed the common commitment of the authorities and the faithful of the great religions for peace in the world, the rejection of violence and terrorism, the situation of Christians in the context of conflicts and tensions in the Middle East, and their protection. During the meeting, Pope Francis gave the Grand Imam the medallion of the olive tree of peace and a copy of his encyclical letter, Laudato Si, end quote. This was the encyclical that Pope Francis also brought to the UN last September. It has a lot to do with global warming, and it also coincides with this UN Agenda 2030. Okay. Fox News, French president in anti-extremism talks with Al-Azhar Imam. So he went from Pope Francis to visit the French president, having the same kinds of talks about peace between religions and against extremism. Quote, the French president has met with the Grand Imam of the prestigious Sunni Muslim Center of Learning, Al-Azhar, to share views on the fight against extremism. The presidency said Francois Hollande detailed France's priorities on the issues and that French authorities welcome Sheikh Ahmed El Taib's efforts to combat radicalism. A French government plan presented this month includes the creation of de-radicalization facilities in every region by 2017. El Taib came to Paris to open a Muslim-Catholic conference on East-West relations after a meeting with Pope Francis on Monday that reopened the important channel for interreligious dialogue, and quote, interreligious dialogue combining the religions. Catholic News. Pope meeting Iraqi leader urges work for reconciliation. This was a February 2016 article, but we see the Pope doing the same thing with the Iraqi leader. He also presented him a medallion of peace and encouraged interreligious dialogue. So this is a big push by Pope Francis, bringing peace to the region. And we need to keep our eye on this because it's very significant. Okay, we're going to move on now to a few articles that contradict the peace that is trying to be formed right now. We also have the Egyptian President El-Sisi trying to forge a peace or mediate the peace process between Israel and Palestine. The Washington Post. Islamic State aims to destroy Israel, liberate Jerusalem with Sinai Peninsula terrorist force. And I don't know if you can see the headline on that or not, but this has to do with setting up a base in the Sinai Peninsula for ISIS so that they can basically attack Israel, Jerusalem. Quote, with a media blitz, the Islamic State has set its sights on Egypt's Sinai Peninsula as the next shot at expanding its empire and establishing a base from which to attack neighboring Israel. The terrorist group's propaganda units have gone into high gear for recruitment this month to build a force in Sinai large enough to one day conquer Jerusalem. Last week, Marine General Joseph Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, warned of the Islamic State's presence in Sinai, where the group may have placed as many as 1,000 terrorists. The Egyptian army, the force standing in the way, is threatened with beheadings if soldiers continue to fight. Such a massive propaganda effort for one mission is unusual for the Islamic State, also known as ISIS and ISIL. Analysts say it means leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi views the land as increasingly important to his group's ultimate goal of bringing down governments in the region and expanding its so-called caliphate or Islamic State, and quote, peace, peace, and there is no peace. The Times of Israel. Here's another article that threatens Israel. Khamenei. U.S. can't do a darn thing about our missile program. So they are just openly now just threatening to destroy Israel. Quote, if the Supreme Leader's orders are to be executed with the abilities and the equipment at our disposal, we will raise the Zionist regime in less than 8 minutes. Karampour said Thursday, according to the semi-official Fars news agency, and quote. Now, we have to remember that Israel has a defense system called Arrow 3 that they say is ready to come against anything that is that comes against Israel. So this is accelerating. So, okay. Now I'm going to do a few articles, follow-up articles on the robots I had in last week's report basically how these robots are taking people's jobs. The Mirror, building robot McDonald's staff cheaper than hiring workers on minimum wage. So, the robots are cheaper. So, this is happening today. Quote, a former McDonald's CEO warned that robots will take over staff jobs at the fast food empire because it's cheaper than employing humans. He warned that huge job losses are imminent and commented that it would be common sense to replace humans in the workplace, end quote. Common sense to replace humans with robots. Okay, BBC, Foxconn replaces 60,000 factory workers with robots. 60,000 people have been replaced by robots at one shot. Quote, Apple and Samsung supplier Foxconn has reportedly replaced 60,000 factory workers with robots. Zhu Julian, head of publicity for the Kunshan region, added, more companies are likely to follow suit. China is investing heavily in a robot workforce, end quote. NBC News, Adidas shifts production, but robots get the jobs. This is real. This is happening. Quote, Adidas is relocating some of its shoe production from Asia to the company's homeland, but Germans shouldn't expect a jobs boom. What is currently done by hand will soon be carried out by robots as part of what the firm calls an automated revolution. The first 500 robot-made high-performance running shoes are scheduled to be rolled out later this year, end quote. Goodbye, jobs. Okay, we're now moving into a section on the genetic manipulation. God created everything perfectly in order. He set up boundaries between the species, and everything reproduced after its own kind. There was order, and it was good. What we have in today's world is disorder, chaos, and we have genetic manipulation on a massive scale, whether it's in our foods or if it's animals being integrated with humans or humans being integrated with machines. It's happening on all levels right now. And these articles are a combination of all of this manipulation. The first one, Australian network news, forever exists, secrets to immortality uncovered. So again, this is Satan's attempt at immortality, and it will not work. And people need to get saved. They need to come to Jesus Christ for salvation and be born again. That's the solution. Quote, ever thought of becoming immortal and living forever? Well, the secrets have been uncovered after Chinese scientists for the first time revealed that gene editing tools like CRISPR can modify human embryos, and can increase lifespan. Now there are several gene editing tools that can make you live forever. The tool has a cell repair mechanism which has been compared to a molecular scissors. It helps add a new piece of DNA and can slash age-related health disorders like cancer and Alzheimer's disease. Moreover, this could edit the appearance of babies. Google's Ray Kurzweil said that humans will be immortal by the 2030s. The idea behind it was to achieve the immortality which will connect humans to machines by creating cyborgs connected to the web and operating that lifestyle, end quote. The Telegraph, British scientists can genetically modify human embryos. Ethics Committee says, this is just a headline. They have gotten the approval now to edit these embryos, which is all about eugenics, and it's frightening. It's frightening. Okay, here's another one. The Independent, HIV cure a step closer after scientists remove virus's DNA from living tissue. So now with this gene editing, they can make it so humans cannot get HIV. Just defiance, absolute defiance to God the Creator. Quote, the gene editing platform by itself may be able to eradicate HIV-1 DNA from patients. Wow. Okay, this one I think is the most disturbing article that I'm bringing today. NPR, in search for cures, scientists create embryos that are both animal and human. They are creating pig and human embryos. This is just unbelievable. So evil. Quote, a handful of scientists around the United States are trying to do something that some people find disturbing. Make embryos that are part human, part animal. The researchers hope these embryos, known as chimeras, could eventually help save the lives of people with a wide range of diseases. Perhaps the boldest hope is to create farm animals that have human organs that could be transplanted into terminally ill patients. But some scientists and bioethicists worry the creation of these interspecies embryos crosses the line. Yes, it does. You're getting into unsettling ground that I think is damaging to our sense of humanity, says Stuart Newman, a professor of cell biology and anatomy at the New York Medical College. The uncertainty is part of what makes the work so controversial. They don't know the end results. Ross and other scientists conducting these experiments can't know exactly where the human stem cells will go. Ross hopes they'll grow a human pancreas, for example, but they could go elsewhere, such as to the brain. Listen to what could happen if these stem cells actually go to the brain of a pig. If you have pigs with partly human brains, you would have animals that might actually have consciousness like a human, Newman says. It might have human-type needs. We don't really know. That possibility raises new questions about the morality of using the animals for experimentation. They've already crossed the line. Okay, Daily Mail. This is about a cyborg man. The man with the amazing arm, 26-year-old, has futuristic limb that includes a phone charger, a torch, and even a drone. And this boy, this man, was in a train accident. He fell between two trains and his arm was cut off and his leg, and they've given him a bionic arm. So he is now merging with machine. Quote, James became part cyborg in an experiment fitting him with prototype bionic arm which combined groundbreaking robotics connected to nerves and muscles in the shoulder with state-of-the-art aesthetics, end quote. That's just a very brief description of that article. Okay, USA Today. Series inventor looks forward to Viv, a giant brain in the sky. Okay, this has to do with being able to talk directly to the internet and having the internet respond back. Quote, science and technology have always cut with a double-edged sword, capable of both propelling humanity to new achievements while threatening us with potential catastrophe. In separate talks, the promise and pitfalls of both DNA sequencing and artificial intelligence were laid out by Riccardo Sabatini, a quantum physicist turned human genome expert, and Dag Kitlos, a telecom veteran turned entrepreneur. Kitlos developed the virtual personal assistant Siri. It is important to prevent the bad side, Kitlos, 49, said during his cheerfully titled talk, Will AI Augment or Destroy Humanity? It's a good idea to keep an eye on this. So there is a very dangerous side to artificial intelligence, and yet they continue to create it. When the moderator, tech author Stephen Levy, asked Kitlos if in fact the supercomputers might not take over for entrepreneurs using their digital brains to create things faster than humans, Kitlos nodded. Yes, it will happen. It's just a matter of when. Later this year, he will unveil Viv, an open source and cloud-based personal assistant that will allow humans to talk to the internet and have the internet talk back. The more you ask of Viv, the more it will get to know you, he said. Siri was chapter 1, and now it's almost like a new internet age is coming. Viv will be a giant brain in the sky. Kitlos and Viv would differ from Siri by being able to make mental leaps. So he said, now here's an example. So he said, if I stumble out of a bar and just say to Viv, I'm drunk, will Viv call me an Uber? Kitlos smiled. It might, or it might order you another drink. They don't know. They don't know. Anyway, end quote. Okay, these last two articles have to do with superbugs. And I believe, this is my opinion, that from this genetic tampering, it's going to unleash different germs and different bugs into the earth. Okay, BBC, superbugs will kill every 3 seconds. So, dangerous world we are living in if you're paying attention. Okay, superbugs resistant to antimicrobials are estimated to account for 700,000 deaths each year, but modeling up to the year 2050 by RAND Europe and auditors KPMG suggests 10 million people could die each year, equivalent to 1 in every 3 seconds, end quote. Okay, that's if the superbug comes. Now this next article is very significant because they have come up with, they have found this superbug in the United States now. NationalGeographic.com. Long dreaded superbug found in human and animal in U.S. Okay, and you'll be interested to know that the animal that they found it in is a pig, which is what they do. So much of this genetic manipulation is done with pigs. Okay, quote, the antibiotic resistant factor MCR, which protects bacteria against the final remaining drugs of last resort, has been found in the United States for the first time in a person and separately in a stored sample taken from a slaughtered pig. Department of Defense researchers disclosed Thursday in a report placed online by the journal Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy that a 49-year-old woman who sought medical care at a military-associated clinic in Pennsylvania last month with what seemed to be a urinary tract infection was carrying a strain of E. coli that possessed resistance to a wide range of drugs. It is extremely concerning. This is potentially a sentinel event, Bell said in a phone interview. MCR is so troubling because it confers protection against colistin, the last remaining antibiotic that works against a broad family of bacteria that have already acquired resistance to all other antibiotics used against them. Colistin has worked up to this point because it is a toxic drug from the early days of the antibiotic era, seldom prescribed because of its side effects. Because it was used so infrequently, bacteria has not adapted to it. But now it's resistant to the colistin. This shows that we are right on the verge of getting into the territory of routine bacterial infections being untreatable. End quote. Wow. We are in just very, very strange days. If you are wise, if you are paying attention, you will understand. Many people are distracted by the cares of this world. They're distracted by the technology. It's a dangerous time to be living if you're not paying attention. I want to leave you with the verse of Romans 8:18. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us. If you are a Bible-believing Christian following Bible prophecy, you realize the dangerous day in which we're living. It is not worth comparing with the glory that is going to be revealed in us. I encourage you today, if you have not yet received Jesus Christ as your Savior, I compel you to do it now. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Maranatha, come quickly, Lord Jesus.